Nini everyone, Zabora here. I know it's been a while. We will do an update video, but that is not this one. So this video I was actually asked to do by a friend of mine who runs a couple of Facebook groups. I will leave links down below. It's Wicked and Pagan Gathering and Wicked and Pagan Gathering 2.0 if you want to join. You're more than welcome to. I actually mod it. He was asking me about familiars, like a witch's familiar, how you would attract ones, things of that nature. And that's kind of a big topic, so I told him I would do a video on it just because it's easier for me to talk to you guys for 5 minutes versus having to write for 3 hours and then looking for spelling mistakes and punctuation and proper breakdown and did I explain it well enough, all that jazz. So, on the subject of familiars, you'll hear witches talk about their pets being their familiars, and that may be a way to rationalize like the supernatural tales, but from my understanding, a familiar is a spirit. It's an entity not of our world that manifests itself into our physical realm in the form of an animal, typically that of the black cat. Now, correct me if I'm wrong on that, but that's just my understanding. If I'm wrong, hey, I learn, I'll grow, I won't repeat the same mistake. Excuse me. Now, given that I'm not entirely sure there are spirits, I'm not convinced that there is a soul or anything of that nature. I personally don't work with familiars. Like I said, some witches, they'll say that their cat is their familiar because it has some kind of magical affinity. It's interested when the person is near their altar or doing spell work or something of that nature where it doesn't show interest at other times. Like, if your cat's not physically affectionate, but every time you go to your altar, your cat's right by you and rubbing on you and stuff like that. It's only wants attention when you're near your altar. That would be a sign that your animal, your pet, is magically linked or wants to help with this ritual or something of that nature. But that doesn't make it a familiar. Like I said, the familiar is a spirit of another realm. So, given that I don't believe that, or I'm not entirely convinced of that, I actually work with servitors, which are essentially the same thing, but instead of it being something of another realm, it's something you create. And it manifests in our reality in the home that you provide for it. So an Egyptian example would be opening a statue, okay? You provide the vessel for the spirit, excuse me, and you anoint it and bless it and do an opening ritual, allowing that entity to house the vessel. And that is a servitor. Now, there are steps you have to go through to activate it, of course, but that entity should be killed, whereas a familiar would not be killed, so that's a difference. I guess a witch could adopt another person's runaway egregore, servitor, whatever you, tolpo, whatever you want to call them, and it become a familiar because it is not something that they created, it was something that came to them. So you'll have to look into summoning rituals. It would basically just be an attraction ritual, but you would do a petition paper for a familiar, which would be a spiritual entity helping you. I guess it doesn't always have to be an animal. I kind of like the imagery of animals. I kind of connect with animal energy a little bit better than I do with, say, plant energy or gem energy or mineral energy, of things of that nature. Living things just, they tend to resonate more. Maybe it's just easier for me to pick up on that. I don't know. But I just tend to identify with animal energy a little bit more. So that's why I would say my servitors tend to take on animal attributes or identities. I'll leave links to my buddy Azrael's videos. He has a whole series on servitors. I think it's like 2 videos. I said it's a series, but it's 2 videos. But it's basically explaining what they are and how to create them. And he goes through a whole ritual so you guys can do that yourselves. But yeah, they're basically the same thing. It's just a being that's there to help you on the other side, the magical side, versus the physical side. And it manifests as an animal. So this is my puppy. She is not a familiar. She is my puppy. She's my dog. I say she's a puppy. She's like 8 years old. Yeah, good girl. What you doing? Oh, yeah, I love you too. Somebody once told me that they didn't see my dogs in my videos anymore, so they were convinced that I had sacrificed them. Here are the dogs. They're not sacrificed. If you follow my social media, I post pictures of them often. I'm basically just on Facebook. So, yeah. I guess that's kind of what I have to say about familiars and how to attract them. It's just an attraction ritual with a properly filled out petition. If you guys watch my series and learn my style of witchcraft, we're almost done with it. I will go through every step and we'll show you like how to make all the stuff you would need to do an attraction ritual. But yeah, that is it for tonight, guys. Sanate.